Good to see you, Michael. Is that exactly what this was, a statement victory?
It was in a way, because West Indies are a fancied side. They were unbeaten. They'd gone through the group stage games, winning their 3 games, their 4 games, and had just hammered Afghanistan on the same ground, on the same pitch. England had had a pretty frustrating start, really, often for factors out of their control. The weather that washed out the Scotland game, who knows how that would have gone. And then they had 2 mismatches, really, against Oman and Namibia, and again with the weather affecting the second of those. So they'd had actually very little cricket. So it always felt like this game against the hosts on a good pitch in front of a good crowd was going to tell us much more than we'd found out already. And what it told us was that England are a good T20 side and are going to be a threat in this tournament, because they waltzed past West Indies really last night.
Yeah, they did, but it did look a bit eggy at the beginning, didn't it? You could have been forgiven for thinking, oh no, here we go, when the West Indies made such a great start with the bat. How impressive was the comeback, do you feel, by the bowlers?
I thought that was the key, actually, and I thought 2 of them in particular, Jofra Archer and Adil Rashid, stood out. Sam Curran bowled a very good 19th over, but this over that you're seeing there from Jofra Archer was the 16th over. Australia, West Indies were really well set at this point. They were 137 for 2, I think. Horan was still there, very dangerous, just got man of the match against Afghanistan. Andre Russell had just come in, a real big hitter towards the end of the innings, and no team scores quicker in the last 5 overs of T20 internationals than West Indies. So Archer bowled 4 brilliant dot balls, 4 Yorkers, then got Horan out. Rashid came back, got Andre Russell out. And West Indies then only scored 43 from their last 5 overs, which meant that their score of 180 was a kind of par score, really. It was no more than that. England still had to play well to win. But from where West Indies were at the start, they were probably looking at 190, 200. So I thought that final 5 overs, started by Archer's 16th, was the key to the win.
Yeah, it was a lovely foundation, wasn't it? And then, of course, Phil Salt and Johnny Bairstow really took it to them. How good was Salt's innings, do you feel, in particular?
Well, he likes playing here. He spent a lot of his childhood in Barbados. He knows the region well. In the series before Christmas in the Caribbean, he'd made a couple of hundreds against West Indies in the T20 series. So he likes the bowlers. He likes the format. He's a very dangerous player when he gets in. It took him a little while, actually, to get going. He's normally quick out of the blocks, but he was a bit more restrained yesterday. But then, in contrast to Archer's 16th over, Mario Shepherd, the over that you're watching on screen right now, he came back for West Indies' 16th over, and Phil Salt just smashed him for 30. I think it was the most expensive over by a West Indies bowler in T20 internationals. So he's a really dangerous player. And Johnny Bairstow, I was pleased for Johnny Bairstow, because he got a bit of stick after the Australia game, which I think was a little bit unwarranted, actually, given it was a very difficult situation when he came in. Conditions were tough. And he'd not had that much opportunity in the tournament so far. So for him to get runs as well last night, that was good from England's perspective.
Did you feel that England were written off a little bit prematurely after the criticism they got against Scotland and then obviously the defeat to Australia?
I think one of the issues, and of course, when we're in the media, whether it's television or writing, you realise that in a tournament like this, there are lots of days in between the games, and therefore lots of days to reflect on very little cricket. England had 10 overs of cricket against Scotland. They had a full game against Australia when they didn't play very well, I have to say. But then very little cricket against Oman and Namibia. So people are drawing judgments on very little evidence. And that's the way of it. That's just how things go. They had one bad performance, really, against Australia. And other than that, not much to talk about. And that's just the nature of T20 and the nature of this competition. So last night was more evidence. It was a proper game, a full game on a good pitch. But again, you don't want to go overboard. It's one performance. The nature of things is that people tend to go slightly overboard when things go wrong and slightly overboard when things go very well. The bottom line is that they've won the first game at a Super 8s. That will give them a good deal of confidence. They've got a key game coming up against South Africa and then USA at the weekend. And you'd think if they beat South Africa, given how well they beat West Indies last night, which would be very good for their net run rate, they're going to be in a really strong position to make the semis.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Just finally, though, I mean, you say if they get the win against South Africa, perhaps they're expected to get that. Do you think the USA could be quite a tricky side?
Definitely. They've proved themselves to be a very good side. They beat Pakistan. Obviously, that was the big turn-up of the group stage games. They pushed South Africa pretty close the other night. I think they lost by, 15 or 18 or something. They've got some very dangerous batters in that middle order, and they're playing good cricket. So this format, it kind of compresses things as well. It's a more unpredictable format than, say, I don't know, Test cricket, where, the longer the game, quality the better players are going to eventually come out on top. Whereas T20 is a little bit more uncertain, a bit more of a lottery, and a bit more unpredictable. So that compresses the difference in quality between the teams. And as I say, USA have proved themselves to be a good team in any case in the group stages. So England will have to play well to beat them in Barbados. But if they do and get past South Africa, they're obviously running into form then at the right time.